Right then, welcome back. Today we're going to do this. Nice stroker, sir. Yes, the Suzuki RGV250 1991 vintage stock. We get a mammoth 61 horsepower and 170 kilos, and the paint job from the gods. Kevin Swant's styley indeed. Team Suzuki Lucky Strike, although it doesn't say Lucky Strike on the side, does it? Because we're not allowed to promote cigarettes anymore because they are the devil. Tuned up, we get some lovely Arrow spannies, 73 horsepower and 155 kilos, so that's a little bit more powerful than an ER6 with about 3 kilotons less weight. So yeah, it's typical two-stroke 250, as in it loves corners, it's not particularly fast down the straights, but if you enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe as well, like and hit the bell and all the usual balls that people ask you to do. The first thing we did is we went in and did a 2 and 8 setup and graduated the gear in, and we ran soft tyres because it's a two-stroke. It weighs about as much as a tea tray. And I also lit one of my Castrol R candles just to set the mood. A little bit of Barry White in the background. Yeah, my wife was not impressed at all. And how did we find it? Well, it doesn't weigh very much and it's not got a massive amount of power. It loves a corner. The front end is very, very good. It struggles with rear tyre heat. And it was quite difficult starting in 20th with the AI on full tilt, trying to get anywhere near the front. I don't think we got to the front of any of the races. I think 4th is probably the best we did, but it's not about winning, it's about getting the bike set up. Excuse me, those fumes. You can probably see it's a little bit nervous. It's also understeering, running wide in corners. That is what, a Kawasaki KZ100, I think, twin shock, ancient hinge in the middle, Japanese universal motorcycle. And yeah, it wants to understeer, it doesn't want to tuck into the corners, it doesn't want to give me the full range of lean angles. I see here, look, just understeer, so we're on the brakes, then you've got to pull it back. So that's why we're overheating the front, because we're leaning on it way too much. We're taking an age to get on the gas, so we've got a hot-ish front tyre and a bit of a cold rear tyre, so we're going to have to sort that out. Usability wise, the two strokes don't translate very well, do they? They're a bit like the supermoto bikes. I think that they probably in the real world on slick tyres will be a bit quicker in the corners, but we used Akiyama because it was the first track that we did a race on, so we went and found where we were in the races, and we did a 54.7 in the race, which would have put us 14th, 15th on the leaderboards, and that's basically my target, and that's how I choose to do it. Set a race time, find that race time on the leaderboards and aim for it. We did make some changes. We took one off the front preload, we added 2 to the front spring hardness and compression, and 1 to the front rebound. That's it. Didn't make any changes to the rear, didn't change the gear in, and we basically just threw soft tyres in it as much as I could. Front-endy tracks, so Tsukuba and Suzuki. I gambled with a medium, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And we ended up with a bike that responded much better to my inputs. It would tuck into corners as I wanted. It wasn't understeering as much. You can see the difference already. I'm getting on the gas to use the rear to turn the bike around the corner rather than it pushing the front and running wide and just being an absolute pain. A pain in the buttocks, sir. But yeah, we're still getting a lot of heat through the front. It's a 250. It's all about corner speed, brake as little as possible. And the rear's warmer. I wouldn't say it's warm. It's warmer than it was, which I'm happy with because I would normally struggle to get heat into the rear of 250s. I could soften it off and it'd just be an absolute pig, and then it'd be sitting down at the rear and it just would not be very nice at all. And we ended up firing in a 53.620. Now I was happy with top 10 and we ended up in 4th. Top 2-stroke, just where's the next one? Not on there. So top 2-stroke by miles. We've even beat a Harley Livewire. Have that, future. Ram that right up, yeah. So yeah, and that's it. We didn't make any more changes. None of the circuits. All I did was muck about with tyres. So Tsukuba and Suzuki power circuits. I feel if you've got something that's got a lot of stomp, you're going to struggle to get near it on both of these tracks. basically 4 or 5 hairpins in a row. It also doesn't help that I've been playing a lot of Gran Turismo 7 and I was expecting the car circuit, not the motorcycle circuit, which we'll see shortly. There's a whole heap of 400-500cc two-strokes in here, which I wasn't really expecting. But yeah, I'm going down there. No, mate. No, the track goes round to the right and then back to the left. That may have been a slight touch by me. He may have just bottled it and lost it once he realised that we were on the superior motorcycle because it's a 250 and it's a two-stroke and it's in Lucky Strike colours. But anyway, apart from the lovely sunset, there wasn't a lot to write home about. The back straight. The back straight was hurting us very much. Normally, fire it out of the hairpin, carry a bit of corner speed through the last turn, but it just wasn't really working. It was a little bit of a thankless task, and after 3 laps the sunset was still pretty, but all we've managed to do is put a tiny little bit of heat into the front tyre. We did go and do a time attack. We did 9 laps. We did a 59.2 in the race and we did a 58.5 on the time attack, so we didn't take a massive amount of time out of it, 0.7 of a second. We ended up 32nd, and I had a look through up and down. There's monster 696 everywhere, live wires and all sorts, but 250cc two-stroke wise, I think that's the top one. I'm happy to be told otherwise, but I do think that's the top 250. No Aprilias, what a surprise, eh? Excuse me. The last track, Suzuki East, the front straight, oh my good lord. Apart from the carnage of a 20-rider AI bloody start where everyone's on bikes that make about the same horsepower and weigh about the same, a track of 2 halves on a 250, you've got the snake, I think it's called the snake anyway, the snake, all the rights and lefts and lefts and rights and lefts and rights and ups and down, and then you've got the long back straight. So through this bit, we're on fire. The problem is the blockers were out in force, so if I went wide, they went wide. If I went tight, they went tight, or there'd be a little bit of crossing over somewhere in the middle. Again, there's possibly a little bit of a naughty touch. I'm not quite sure. We might have made contact there. But yeah, so it was making time up through the bends and then just waving bye-bye to people down the straight. The first corner, the AI are on fire. I genuinely cannot work out how they're so fast through that first corner. I was absolutely on the door handles, trying to fire it in there, losing the front end left, right and centre, and a Husqvarna 701 was just taking the piss out of me constantly. But we managed to blag our way up to 4th. We never really made any dint in the 3-second gap that the Chinese rider had out the front, and that was about your lot. Time-wise, we did a 53.0 in the race, 6 laps, and I did get bored very quickly. I'm not a massive fan of that East circuit. We ended in a 52.5, so it only took half a second out of it, and we ended up in 8th. Now, I've got it down as the top RGV250. Oh, there's the Aprilia in 3rd, of course. There had to be an Aprilia in there, didn't they? There always is. Electronic settings then, I went for anti-wheelie 1, engine braking 3, and traction control 0. Tyres, I ended up using a medium front just to give it the support. It will run a soft as well. Pros and cons, it loves corners. Of course it does. Why? Because it's a 2-stroke and the Lucky Strike paint. Outside of that, it's just a pure nostalgia trip. There is no other benefit to using that motorcycle other than you like using 250 2-strokes. It's not the fastest. It doesn't handle the best. It's just purely, they're classics and they're sought after, so we'll stick them in the game. Husky 701 or a 690 KTM would absolutely run rings around it as much as I would rather have a 2-stroke than a 4-stroke, but okay. Cons wise, it's slow, it's nervous, and it struggles for rear tyre heat. Yeah, so not really selling it very well, am I? But if you like the paint and you like the bike and you like everything else, then give it a shot and it's not too bad. But I mean, you could just buy it and look at it. Buy it and look at it and just perv on the exhaust and the paint and everything. They were just on a different planet, weren't they? 90s Japanese bikes. What were we trying out? The Brits in the 1990s? Not a lot. Featherbed Triumphs or whatever. Absolutely not into the British stuff. Nope, absolutely not. That is just a pure Japanese sex on wheels for me. That absolutely stunning. And that's your lot. That's all we're going to do. Next time, oh dear me, we're going to do the 1981 Suzuki Katana in the classic Naked Trophy in the Asian League. yeah, I'm sure that'll be absolutely fun, and that's your lot. So thanks for watching, comment, liking, subscribing, all the usual jazz, and fingers crossed I will see you next time. Take care, stay safe, peace.